Hi, I'm Lowell Joseph Gallin, co-host of the New York-based internet TV talk show, The Laura and Lowell Show. This is my co-host, Laura Leadbetter.
Hi, Mr. Reingold.
And our guest for today's interview is Daniel Reingold. Good morning, Mr. Reingold.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for having us here. The President and CEO of RiverSpring Health, which operates the Hebrew home in Riverdale, New York, where my father has lived for 3 years, and where Laura works as a storyteller for the Joy Through Art Foundation. Mr. Reingold, I used to think there was the Hebrew home in Riverdale. You now have RiverSpring Health, which operates the Hebrew home in Riverdale, and you do so many other things far beyond the home. Could you tell us and our viewers something about those other activities?
Sure. The Hebrew home is nearing its 100th anniversary in 2017, and we've historically been known as one of the leaders in the field of long-term care. And over the last 5 years, we've expanded our mission to take care of people who live in their own homes. We've developed some senior housing, home care, daycare programs. We run the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Center for Elder Abuse Prevention. So we're now taking care of 12,000 older New Yorkers throughout all 5 boroughs of the city. And so we decided that we needed to have a name that reflected the larger population than just those who are Hebrew and live at a nursing home in Riverdale. So hence the name RiverSpring Health. But when we come back to the core of our operation, which is the Hebrew home in Riverdale, I want to just pick up on something you said, Lowell, which is that your father has lived here for 3 years. Many people tend to view nursing homes as a place where people come to die. And one of the things that really separates our organization from really any other organization is that this is a place where people come to live. So I'm grateful that you acknowledge it by pointing out that your dad lives here and that he is enjoying a new chapter in his life and hopefully receiving wonderful care. Your storytelling is one of those things that brings life to people, and one of the things that all of our residents have are stories.
They do.
You know,
I found since I've been here doing the storytelling, they witness each other. They sometimes learn from each other and say, "Wow, I never knew that about you, really?" And they link, and it's about linking and witnessing, and it's so wonderful. They love each. When they hear, they light up. They become. It's like a performance, a theatrical performance when they tell their stories. Lowell, as you know, I met you through your dad. Your dad was calling you in Israel to tell you that I was coming to visit him every week. And then you appeared one day.
Right.
And to me, when your dad told me about his life experiences as a lawyer on the Grand Concourse, and he wrote his book and he told his story, that to me was just... That's what I'm about. That's why I do the work I do. Bring those. I've been giving your dad's books out to different, and they're just amazed.
Well, Mr. Reingold made that possible. Your family established this a few generations ago with a few beds in a home in Harlem, I think.
well, it wasn't my family that established it, but there was a group of people who were part of a synagogue in Harlem, Bet HaMikdash HaGadol, and Bet HaMidrash HaGadol, forgive me, and they ended up taking care of elderly people that were coming around, and they ultimately bought a brownstone next door, and then a second one and a third one, and by 1950 they had outgrown that and decided that they'd come up to Riverdale, which was, as they say, in Yanderveld.
In what?
Yanderveld. Far, far
that's
away.
Yiddish. Yanderveld means
right.
far, far away. Another world. Yanderveld. Did I translate that right?
I think you did.
Thank you.
And my father came on in 1957, so we were not really the founders, but my family has been fortunate and blessed to be part of this organization since 1957.
What a great
Now
story.
think what Mr. Reingold is saying. As a great journey begins with one step, the RiverSpring Health, which services 12,000 older people throughout the New York area, of which about 1,000 live here.
Correct.
About 1,000 live here at the Hebrew home, the same size as my college, Swarthmore, where I went, and is here to help people live and not come to die, but to come to live, and to share stories with each other. And as Laura said, it's There's a theatrical element. Think of Marnie Nixon singing "Getting to Know You," getting to know all about you.
That's
in
right.
The King and I with Yul Brynner, because only he could be in The King and I. So it's an amazing institution. And when we met 2 weeks ago, when I arrived from Israel and I was walking to see my father, and I came with my mom, we were in front of the dining room, and there was Mr. Reingold with his Director of Communications, Wendy. Wendy's last name is Steinberg. And there were waffles, and there was a cameraman, and there was a reporter. And I didn't realize until 2 days ago that this would be a full-page story in the Wall Street Journal about Waffle Day at the Hebrew home, where people come to live and to share their stories with each other. Mr. Reingold, are there any other comments you would like to make? There's so much to talk about what you do. Helping people live. When people are together here at the Hebrew home, they have each other. What about people who live at home who are isolated and become disconnected, and loneliness being a problem, and for anyone at any age, how do you help them connect with other people?
I think isolation is one of the greatest challenges for older adults, and it's interesting how people tend to view nursing homes with some disdain, and reality is that many people have told me when their family members have come to the Hebrew home, they wish they had come sooner.
Wow.
And because there is a community here, and
That's
a community of people. Interestingly, in the area of elder abuse prevention, we've discovered, and we're one of the national leaders in that area, and there's always this concern that people are abused in nursing homes, but what we found is that, interestingly, more people are abused in their own homes because there is not the supervision and community that exists in a place like this. And so that's why we created the nation's first shelter to protect people who are victims of abuse. The other interesting thing is that you talk about Waffle Day, and I think that what we know to be true at the Hebrew home is that what most of our residents have more than anything right now is time during the day. They may not have time left in their life, but they have time during the day. And how can we fill that day with meaning and richness and fulfillment? And that's why the storytelling is so meaningful, because people want to tell their story. They want to be remembered and know that they had an impact on life. So I think that's very powerful, as are things like having a waffle celebration, because food is something that bonds all of us and brings back memories and so on. And so many other things that we've done at the Hebrew home, our art program, our Judaica collection, the pet therapy program, the various art exhibits, our trains, and our Yankees dugout, and our pickles and egg cream. So these are all the things that we do here to try to really make sure that people's lives are fulfilled every single day.
You touched on one issue I'd like to ask you about, pet therapy. What does that mean? People come in with lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, lions and tigers and bears. They come in with dogs. The people go out to the lion. How does that work? What is pet therapy?
Pet therapy is primarily, in our case, in most cases, it does involve dogs, who are man's best friend. And we have 4 dogs that live with 4 employees. I'm one of them. I have my buddy named Luca, and Luca comes to work with me every day, and as soon as he can't wait to get here every day. And when he does arrive, he goes to work on a floor with our folks that have memory disorder, and he makes them smile. And for him, this is play. This is wonderful for them.
It's bringing joy, and it's a win-win. They give love and they get love.
And you come with your dog too sometimes,
yes,
Dusty, who's a special kind of
He's a long-haired dachshund. I just had him shaved for the summer, but he loves it. He knows the Billy Goat Trail that I cut through. I live right behind right at Skyview, and he just leads the way. And he just can't wait to get here. And they look forward to him. Sometimes they say, "Where's Dusty?" They want Dusty. They like the stories, but they like the contact. They want to know how he's doing, and I leave them with always something to look forward to for the next week. And that's like your father. He makes these collage puppets. I have all of his puppets in Westchester, in another nursing home. He's making other seniors happy. He's doing something.
Because
He
Mr.
creatively-
Reingold has created an atmosphere where
Yes.
I haven't seen him so happy since before I was born, and he's reading all the time. He reads more than me all the time.
I actually ran
He's
into
reading, thinking.
I didn't even know it was your dad until you just talked about the book. But he and I work out together sometimes. We were working out together in our fitness center, and I haven't seen him there lately. But he came in and we started to talk, and he was telling me about having been a lawyer on the Grand Concourse, and then showed me his book. I just remember thinking, you know, what a great history this man must
That's
have,
right.
having been,
The
you know,
stories he
the
heard.
stories he's heard on the Grand Concourse. And I just until today, I had no idea that was your dad. He's a great guy.
Yes.
And has really taken advantage of all the things we have to offer.
He loves it here.
Yeah.
He loves the gym. He says he has started a new chapter. He's very comfortable. He's at peace, and he just looks forward to making joy and having joy and hearing the stories. And he gives me wisdom. He's wonderful.
Well,
and thank you for sharing them with me.
I think the lesson for your viewers is that growing older is not something to fear, and
No,
that whether we do it successfully or not has much more to do with our own outlook on life and our willingness to try new things and to be open to new things, and that growing old is not a time of endings or loss, but rather a time of new opportunities.
I have a last question for you.
Please.
In the areas in which the RiverSpring and the Hebrew Home is a leader in the United States, you've been getting a lot of press coverage for one area in which you've carved a path, which is intimacy for seniors. Could you say something about that and how you've become a pioneer in that field? That when people come here, they come here to live for what at the moment is the last chapter in their lives, and the Hebrew Home and RiverSpring encourages people to be people and to have a right to live and rights to intimacy. Could you say something about your policies?
Well, I will, but let me first correct you to say that we didn't invent intimacy among older adults. That would be like giving the rooster credit for the sun rising every morning. We just brought attention to it, and we brought awareness to the fact that it's not that there's intimacy between older adults, there's intimacy between people. And people get older.
Good point, that's right.
And the intimacy doesn't stop necessarily,
That's
so
well said. I found when I go room to room with the storytelling, some of them like to be on their own. Like your dad is he's not a group joiner.
Right.
He's very independent. So I've built relationships, and they're special and unique, each one of them. And it's an intimate experience because it's their stories, and I'm coming to see them, and they have something to look forward to. And
so, but you know, when intimacy results in a physical relationship between two older adults, we view something like that as a positive, as long as it's wanted and desired and there's consent and people are not put into any kind of exploited situation, which is totally forbidden. But rather that we recognize that older adults, that the sense of touch is one of the last pleasures we give up in life, and why not hold on to it as long as we can, and if it leads to a sexual relationship, we consider that to be a good thing, again, as long as people's rights are protected, and that's really the philosophy behind it. And if, you know, our goal is to just create awareness around the country that this is something we need to address. It's going on, and so we might as well be grown-ups about it and have the conversation.
Mr. Reingold, a final comment before we conclude this interview?
No, just it's a great opportunity to talk to you. And
thank you,
and I also want to thank you for what you do every day.
Thank you. And I'm so glad I got this chance to reflect and share with you the experiences. And I just will continue. It keeps growing. And Dominic tells me all the time, focus on the work, Laura. And I'm blessed to have this opportunity to do the work, and that's what it's all about, and to bring joy. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Reingold,
thank you so much.
Thank you for being a guest on
My
our
pleasure.
show.
Thank you.
And we thank our viewers for watching and listening. This is Laura and Lowell with Daniel Reingold, the President and CEO of RiverSpring Health, which owns and operates the Hebrew Home in Riverdale, where my dad's lived for 3 years, reporting to you from Riverdale, New York. And we want you all to have a great day. Thank you,
Thank you.
Daniel
Thank
and
you.
Laura. That was good.